If you enjoy my content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel using the link in the description. You ever have a moment in your life where something happens and you just know it's not going to be the same after? Not because anything official changed, but because what people now feel has changed. We might be at one of those moments right now. Across Minneapolis, now across this country, something has cracked. Because for the first time in a long while, people who ordinarily don't care about national protests, people who've watched conservative narratives their whole lives, are suddenly asking the same question. Why are federal agents shooting Americans in the streets?
Whoa!
On January 24th, federal immigration agents under the Department of Homeland Security shot and killed a 37-year-old U.S. citizen named Alex Preddy during an enforcement operation in Minneapolis. He was an ICU nurse, licensed to carry a firearm, there to document activity. According to bystander videos, he was holding only a phone before federal agents tackled and then shot him multiple times. This wasn't a traffic stop gone wrong. This wasn't a raid on suspects with known warrants. This was a protest in the city, and American citizens were shot by their own government agents. Now ask yourself, has there ever been a moment in American history where federal agents shoot U.S. citizens in broad daylight amid protests, and the first reaction from leadership isn't transparency, investigation, or restraint? Instead, what we got was officials doubling down, labeling the victim a threat before the facts were even out, defending the agents, framing the narrative. This is exactly what people fear from unchecked power. And when that fear spreads beyond the usual protest communities, that's a turning point. Because here's what's really interesting. Conservatives, people who normally stand with federal authority, are starting to speak out. I'm talking about people who've trusted institutions, who've read their news feeds from the right, and who believe the talking points about law and order. They're now questioning the same leadership they voted for. Republicans in Congress are calling for deeper investigations after the Minneapolis shooting, not just blind support. And that matters. When the base that once accepted official narratives begins to question them out loud, that's not movement politics, it's a shift in national trust. Because people are thinking for themselves because they saw the video. And the video doesn't lie, it doesn't spin, it doesn't wait for talking points, it shows what happened. So here's where we stand right now. A federal agency has killed an American citizen on U.S. soil. Public trust is eroding, not just on the left, but on parts of the right too. And people are starting to reassess what power without accountability really looks like. Here's Reverend Schneck, a man who spent 35 years on the religious right, talking about exactly that turning point and why he now sees this moment as a moral crisis for the entire country.
I'm making up for errors of my past. I spent 35 years as an activist on the religious right, doing a lot of damage, helping to deliver the entities that are now inflicting all of this suffering on so many people, and in the process contradicting in every possible way the message I thought I was promoting in those years, but in fact I was doing the opposite.
Our streets, our streets, our streets, our streets, our streets, our streets, our streets.
So now I have to do the work of repair. And it came too late, and I have what time I have, but I want to do that repair, and just being present here and being in solidarity with all these folks is part of that repair work in my own soul, but more importantly, in the external world where people have to live with the consequences of my decades of harm and injury. So I have to own that, and it's painful, but I have found the folks here more gracious than any of the so-called Christian leaders that I kept company with in those years that I thought up myself as being, these folks are showing more grace in accepting me and inviting me to walk with them than I would have ever extended to them 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. This is redemption. This is redemption. In the big picture and in my tiny little small personal picture.